What happened is a total disaster, even by our standards, the standards of Iraqi violence. That's the reaction of one government official to Saturday's suicide bombing, the worst single attack since the US-led invasion in 2003.
Yes, Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki has vowed to crack down on those behind the violence that has pushed this week's death toll to unprecedented levels. Owen Fay now reports.
The numbers are simply staggering. In the past week alone, 1,000 people have been killed in the Iraqi capital. That's according to an estimate released Sunday by the country's Interior Ministry. And speaking on Iraqi state TV, the government says it knows who's primarily responsible.
50%
of the bombings and killings on the streets of Baghdad every day comes from Syria. I confirm that half the operatives carrying out the bombing and killing cross through the Syrian border. We disclose this based on the evidence we have that we have proven to our Syrian brothers. And we wish to inform all Arabs that those who call themselves Mujahideen are infiltrators coming through Syria sent to Iraq to kill its innocent people.
That accusation prompted fierce exchanges in the National Assembly, with the Speaker and other Sunni leaders pointing the finger of blame at Iran. Yet even as the debate raged, attacks across the city on Sunday showed no signs of easing. Policemen in Al-Qasra district responded to an emergency. When they turned on their siren, it triggered a bomb attached to their car. And in the central part of the city, a mortar landed on this home, killing a woman and her 3 daughters. Numerous fatalities were also reported at a bus station in Sadr City and at a petrol station where people were queuing to buy propane. Gunfire even broke out near workers trying to clean up after one of the single deadliest attacks in Iraq since the war began. Random gunfire forcing everyone to duck for cover. For nearly 4 years now, the people of Baghdad have grown used to attacks across the capital city, but few have been as brutal as this. And this is what it looks like when a truck laden with a ton of explosives is detonated in the middle of a crowded market. According to eyewitnesses, at least 70 homes and businesses were destroyed in the blast. Food and merchandise stalls utterly obliterated, evidence of the carnage everywhere. This attack took place as local residents bought food before an evening curfew went into effect, a curfew imposed as a means of stopping attacks like this one. Iraq's Prime Minister was quick to condemn the atrocity. Nouri al-Maliki said the entire world, not just the Iraqis themselves, are outraged, and he vowed to put an end to the violence. In the aftermath of Saturday's attack, Baghdad's hospitals have been overwhelmed as they try to care for the more than 300 people wounded in the bombing. Meanwhile, the families of those who died carry out the grim task of burying the dead. Well over 100 people killed for doing nothing more than trying to buy food for their families. Owen Fay, Al Jazeera.
The US military commanders publicly acknowledged for the first time that 4 helicopters which crashed in Iraq since January 20th were probably shot down. 21 US servicemen and private security contractors died in the incidents, and the unusually high number of helicopters lost in such a short space of time is raising questions. Some are now wondering whether Iraqi fighters have changed tactics or are using more sophisticated weaponry.
We don't see this as a focus just on the multinational force. There's been an ongoing effort ever since we've been here to target our helicopters. Obviously, based on what we have seen, we are already making adjustments in our tactics and techniques and procedures as to how we employ our helicopters in support of Iraqi security forces and coalition forces, and are making those appropriate changes.
NATO says it has killed a leading Taliban commander in an offensive to retake the town of Musa Qala, though the Taliban themselves haven't confirmed the report. The town was one of the centres NATO handed over to local elders before the Taliban moved back in.
The strike comes as British General David Richards handed command of NATO-led forces to the US. From Afghanistan, James Bays reports.
After the President Hamid Karzai, the NATO commander in Afghanistan is the second most important person. General Richards has now handed over command of the 33,000-strong NATO force to General Dan McNeill, an American.
Our mission will be foremost in our words and deeds. We will quit neither post nor mission until the job is done or we are properly relieved. We will not leave a fallen comrade.
During his time in Afghanistan, General Richards gained a reputation for his PR and diplomacy skills. His successor is known more as a straight-down-the-line military man. Observers say in the last year the NATO force has successfully distinguished itself from the American coalition that's been serving here for 5 years. A former Deputy Minister of the Interior gave this advice to the new commander.
If General McNeil does not change his tactics from past US operations, which were full of mistakes, it will cause a negative reaction. He should not come as a rude American. He must serve as a NATO commander.
In his last interview before he left Afghanistan, General Richards told me about the challenges faced by his successor. He says NATO will be ready for a Taliban spring offensive.
But we do expect them, because they have no alternative, to have another go this spring. All I would say is I talk about an ISAF spring campaign, and our campaign includes reconstruction, development, improvements in governments, improvements in relations with Pakistan within an expanding cloak of security. What they talk about is a spring offensive. What are they offering? More death, destruction and despair. So I think if you compare, and there's no moral equivalence between the Taliban and what we may sometimes inadequately be offering and doing, but if you compare the two, we have every reason to be confident about 2007.
Most observers predict that the coming months will be a testing time for the new commander, NATO and the government of Afghanistan. James Bays, Al Jazeera, Kabul.
Well, the former Taliban ambassador to Pakistan, Mullah Abdul Salam Zaif, is on the phone from Kabul and joins us now. Mr. Zaif, thank you for joining us now. NATO have said that they have retaken the town of Musa Qala. Is that your take on the situation as well?
The situation, I heard that before yesterday, and this was some problem happened in Sakala district, and I heard that the Taliban controlled this area because 3-4 days ago it was some bombing in some area in this district, and this was casualties. And the contract between NATO and Taliban was that the area Israel will be protecting the area, in the NATO will be not entering this area, and the Taliban will be not entering this area with weapons. And I think when the NATO, they were bombarding the area and they were killing the people, and this was the cause, because the Taliban arrived again to control the area, and they say the NATO is not restricted to the contract. I think this happened before yesterday.
So do you have any information, indeed, that would indicate that the Taliban are in control of Musa Qala?
I heard that, but I'm in Kabul. I heard that they control the area and they enter to the district. They told the elders, you are not more responsible for this area because the NATO is not restricted to you and to us, and they are bombarding the area, and this was the second time they bombard the area. This the Taliban says the NATO and the government calculation, and they want to attack in this area, and the people, they are very scared, and some people, they want to refuge from this area. This is my information. Still, the NATO and the government meeting outside the district, the Taliban, they are in this area.
Mullah Abdul Salam Zaif, former Taliban ambassador to Pakistan, thank you for joining us.
Indonesia's capital city is slowly being swallowed up by floodwaters after days of constant rain. Authorities in Jakarta say 20 people have been killed and 340,000 are now without homes.
Rescue teams in boats are struggling to deliver supplies to stranded residents. And as conditions deteriorate, health risks are becoming a major concern.